Today in MAGA Morons Get Mad Over the Darndest Things news, the maggots are losing their collective yet again, this time not only against the Supreme Court for going against the wishes of their supreme leader, Donald Putin put it in my pooper Trump, but also because the Constitution-loving, free speech-touting miscreants of the MAGA mind virus, who really ought to read a history book as soon as they learn how to read, had a massive MAGA meltdown over Democrats not clapping during Trump's congressional address last night, which, in case you missed it, looked something like this. So yeah, you let me know in the comments how many maggots it takes to screw in a light bulb as we break down them collectively blowing all their fuses. First, over Democrats doing the absolute bare minimum and holding up protest signs at Trump's speech, and then over this bombshell move from Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett that simultaneously screwed Trump and set the MAGA world ablaze, and likely led to this clip that we'll take a deeper look at, where her soul quite literally leaves her body, as I can only assume she got a whiff of Trump's diaper fumes. So smash that like button and join the resistance by subscribing, and let's get into it. Starting with, MAGA Nation is having a full-blown meltdown over the lack of applause from Democrats during President Donald Trump's first joint address to Congress since his return to office. And the White House wasted no time lashing out at Democrats over the muted response Trump received throughout his 99-minute speech on Tuesday night. Honestly surprised he could keep the shit in his pants that long, but in a press release after the speech, the administration outlined a lengthy list of moments where Democrats, quote, refused to applaud, praising Trump's remarks as, quote, bold and, quote, forward-looking. And this thing reads like a damn Ministry of Truth propaganda post, with the White House calling out the Dems for not clapping at things like cutting regulations to unleash American prosperity, just the United States of America, laughably law and order, and ironically ending censorship and bringing back free speech. Which is hilarious in a depressingly dystopian way, considering this is how Republicans reacted to free speech during the address itself.
I've stopped all government censorship and brought back free speech in America. It's back.
Remove this gentleman from the chamber.
Funny, I don't recall Marjorie Taylor Ham for Brains being removed for this outburst.
I'm politely not naming them, but it's being proposed by some of you. Look.
Right, free speech for me, just not for thee. And of course, because Donald Trump has no original ideas of his own and his head of hot air makes him an incredibly ripe target to be brainwashed by propaganda, this actual White House press release was essentially just a verbatim parroting of Fox News host Dana Perino's assessment of the Democrats' response to Trump's speech.
Well, at the beginning of the speech, he started off by saying, "There's nothing I can say that is going to make you clap for me," and then they proved him right. Now, many Democrats did not defend Al Green as he was escorted out. They didn't fight that. Many other Democrats left during this and went and did little videos. But I think that what it showed is that the Democratic Party still has no common sense. They have no ideas, and they have no heart. They couldn't even stand for the most inspiring moments of this speech.
And look, while I actually believe it's borderline moronic to say that any political party in the United States is, quote, on the side of the American people, to claim that the party that is currently cutting your Medicaid and Social Security, firing anyone with a pulse, tanking the economy, humiliating us on the world stage, being a Putin puppet, and yelling at the Ukrainian president for not saying please in an attempt to kiss the ass of their demagogue dog handler who's being manhandled by an oligarchic, unelected billionaire bureaucrat that is pulling off the greatest scam of trickle-up economic wealth transfer in history? That party, being the Republicans, of course, to claim that they are on the side of the American people is at best batshit insane and at worst utterly masochistic. And on that note, cue MAGA, or as I like to refer to them, the moron alliance of global adversarialism, which is great because they don't understand half those words. Or my other nickname for them, the Axis powers. Here's what White House Barbie had to say on the matter. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt writing, "Tonight, President Trump absolutely owned the moment. He showed the world why the American people overwhelmingly re-elected him to serve in the highest office in the land. Democrats reminded us that they are the party of insanity and hate, and they could not even clap for a child battling cancer or mothers who lost their children. President Trump is restoring common sense. The renewal of the American dream is well underway, and we are just getting started." And conservative cuckboy commentator Charlie Kirk had this to say about one of the most viral moments of the night that set off a firestorm on social media.
We see this a lot, where Democrats refuse to stand, Democrats refuse to applaud, but it's worse than ever. And literally there was one moment where Donald Trump called out a young man with brain cancer becoming an agent of the Secret Service, and Democrats still did not stand up and applaud. If you will not stand up and applaud for a young boy who becomes a member of the Secret Service in an honorary way, there's something really sick and messed up about you.
And look, while I'm sure for that little boy that was a truly heartwarming moment that he will never forget, there is also something incredibly sick and disturbing about how the right wing and MAGA specifically is using this incident. The internet exploded with people on the right expressing their anger over Democrats not standing for this boy. And somehow, the maggots don't see Trump using this kid with brain cancer as a prop, despite gutting cancer research as disgusting or morally reprehensible.
For the record, and this is disgusting, the president made a spectacle out of praising a young man who thus far survived pediatric cancer, as if the president had something to do with that. This was in the midst of him praising Doge. The Doge cuts, among other things, have cut off funding for ongoing research into pediatric cancer.
Yeah, Charlie, let's just forget to mention that. And I know this is absolutely insane, so I'd love to hear your thoughts on this story in the comments. And before we move on to MAGA's bombshell blow up at Amy Coney Barrett, I just want to point out how insane the disparity of coverage is between left and right-wing sources, and how easy it is becoming, especially for maggots, to fall prey to these far-right pipeline sycophantic takes on stories. And that is why it has never been more important to be mindful of where your news is coming from and take steps to be more media literate, which is why we are incredibly proud to partner with today's sponsor of this video, Ground News, a website and app developed by a former NASA engineer on a mission to give readers an easy, data-driven, objective way to read the news. Every story comes with a quick visual breakdown of the political bias, factuality, and ownership of the source's reporting, all backed by ratings from 3 independent news monitoring organizations. And I've specifically found immense usefulness and often a little bit of humor out of the Ground News blind spot feature that highlights stories that are disproportionately covered by one side of the political spectrum. And this is so important so we don't live in an echo chamber and get misled by subtle and sometimes not so subtle language in the news. So try out Ground News today by clicking the link on screen in the description or by scanning that QR code on the screen. And if you sign up through our link, you'll get 40% off the Vantage plan, which is what we at Really American use to get unlimited access to all features. By doing so, not only are you supporting the channel and Ground News' work, but also arming yourself with knowledge and information that is utterly crucial in today's news media landscape. Now, as I mentioned, MAGA was not done losing their collective and it is truly shocking to see MAGA so viciously attack the Supreme Court, considering all they have done for Trump and considering he knows it.
Thank you again. Thank you again. Won't forget.
So good. Yeah, so good, sir.
Yeah, that was Trump at his speech last night, thanking Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts and saying he won't forget it, which is likely a reference to the Supreme Court's granting Donald Trump of king-like immunity from any crimes he commits in office as long as maggots can fabricate a reality in which they are deemed, quote, presidential acts. So, you know, as long as he's taking a on the White House toilet when he rug pulls his crypto scam and steals all the money from the Maga Morons who invested in it, he's fine. But not every conservative or alleged conservative justice has been waiting patiently at the base of said toilet to swallow Trump's turds of late. Because tell me folks, why oh why would Amy Coney Barrett be caught with her soul leaving her body after shaking hands with Trump here? Well, you see, it's actually a very interesting story that has MAGA lashing out at her as they have done time and time again. And Barrett drew the ire of MAGA fans this time after she sided with the liberals and against President Donald Trump in the case brought to fight back against cuts to contracts for USAID. essentially saying that the US owed payments for work that had already been done. With a MAGA conservative commentator saying, disgraceful, Amy Barrett was a bad SCOTUS nominee. And look at that, Charlie Kirk chimed in and said, looking that way. This guy said, Amy Coney Barrett is the Bill Barr of Mike Pence's. Good one, Captain Deplorable. I don't even think you know what that means. With another maggot responding to the breaking news, the Supreme Court has upheld a lower court's order forcing USAID state to immediately pay $2 billion owed to contracts for work they've already performed, saying the writing was on the wall with Amy Coney Barrett's appointment, and now the consequences will be felt for generations. Don't ever let the Federalist Society pick judges again. With the person who posted that video online saying, my God, the look Amy Coney Barrett just gave Trump post-speech was one for the ages. Unsurprisingly, he refused to shake Sotomayor's hand, and then Roberts led them all out somewhat speedily. And the internet had an absolute field day with this. There was a great account on Twitter called Simplified SCOTUS that has been trashing most of SCOTUS, and specifically Amy recently. Like this post from yesterday where they said, when they want to legalize poop water, clearly a reference to the Supreme Court striking down the EPA rules on the discharge of water pollution so you can have more Trump feces in your water. But yeah, the good news here is that there was bad news for Trump and Doge, including, which we'll be making a video on shortly, Trump being hit with a devastating poll result after his bonkers speech. But that's where we're going to end this story today. And so I'll ask you guys again, what are your thoughts on all of this? About MAGA imploding over the dumbest things, about where the Democrats stand and what they actually did, if that was enough. And despite her going against Trump on multiple occasions, do you really think Amy Coney Barrett is this villain that MAGA is exploding on her and painting her to be? Or is this just them fabricating their own reality to have something, anything to be riled up and mad about? Let me know in those comments down below, and while you're there, make sure you drop a like, subscribe to the channel. For Really American, I'm Kenny Hesse, and I'll see you all in the next one.